Good afternoon. Hey, welcome. Yes, there we go. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming. Coming up on the show with all of the options available to you to run IT services like productivity, device management, identity, security services, we're going to show you a new IT roadmap for Microsoft 365, a new way for you to visualize and plan a broad and long-term IT strategy for all of your organizations. It includes how we help you to build a tangible IT roadmap tailored for both current and a future set of investments based on your goals and your priorities. It enables you to keep up to date with the latest technologies, track your progress, communicate plans to key business, user, and security stakeholders, and help you find the help you need to move forward. Now, I'm joined by a very special presenter, somebody who normally sits in this hot seat, but today is sat in that hot seat. Please give it up for Jeremy Chapman.
I got to say, it's so weird being on this side of the desk because I don't even know. Everything looks different.
We'll muddle through. Don't worry. We'll make it.
Right. So normally I'm doing the hosting job, but the nice thing here is I've spent a lot of time actually tracking all this technology, and I come from an IT background. So it's really a pleasure to be able to bring this tool to everybody and really use some of the knowledge that we've acquired building the stuff over the years out as the IT roadmap.
Yeah, so just like for myself, IT guy, just like many of these people in the audience here, focused on IT day in, day out. But tell people, what is the IT roadmap and what's it solving for?
Right, so if you're in IT, and I think most of you are, this is really something that we thought up in terms of how fast the technology is moving. You know, some of the feedback that we get all the time is there are changes coming out monthly, sometimes weekly, and we want to be able to, keep track of what's new and what's there and what's coming, but also how do I take those options and make informed decisions based on what I have, because not everybody's on the bleeding edge, not everybody's doing kind of the most current things that they could possibly be doing. So this gives a way to kind of set where you're at and then figure out your next steps and the options that you have and the capabilities that we cover in terms of Microsoft 365. Because you think about all the different services in Microsoft 365, it's productivity, so everything Office 365, it's devices and device management, so all the Intune and all the config manager stuff. And then you've got identity and security services and all the compliance stuff that we can do. So we want to be able to help you build an action plan based on all the specific goals that you have in your organization, customize it to your priorities, and make sure that you have a plan, a roadmap.
Could we take a look?
Yeah, so just in terms of what the roadmap is doing. So the first thing is there's a couple different delivery mechanisms for the roadmap. First, I'm showing you one that's behind a login. So this is what you do if you're, say, a partner or somebody from Microsoft going through this with you. Now, you'd log in, you'd select the IT roadmap for Microsoft 365. At that point, it's going to give you a kind of a placemat of all the different services that accrue to Microsoft 365. And we really tried to make sure that we were using kind of the more IT phrases instead of saying trust and teamwork services and those creativity services.
Yep.
We're trying to make it more kind of IT friendly in terms of the terminology that we're using across the different services here.
And just to clarify, this is different from a regular product roadmap that we might publish for services like Office 365.
Right. So the regular product roadmaps are super important in terms of the roadmaps that we have at Microsoft in terms of delivering new products, new capabilities. And we align to that in terms of mapping those capabilities that are coming or have just recently shipped.
Right.
But this is for you. This is for an IT department to be able to take this and consume it and build their own roadmap in terms of planning the things that I want to be able to implement. Cool. And then doing so in a way that lets me see the newest capabilities at the same time. What's different is you'll be able to see kind of the level that you're at along a kind of a 4-level continuum, and you'll be able to select the priorities that you want to do. So here I have a nice kind of placemat of the different things that I can choose to do. I come from a Windows deployment and imaging background, and all the identity stuff like we just saw in the last show is super important. And I also want to make sure that collaboration's there. But we have things like communication, we have IT change management, we have project and planning services, data analysis, things for BI, for example. All these different capabilities mapped out along that 4-level continuum.
And you've selected what was important to you.
So here I've selected what's important to me, and I'm going to go into a real demo in a second. This isn't just, I just want to show you a couple of key concepts here with the visuals that we have. So here I've selected teamwork, for example, and you can see what the continuum looks like. If teamwork's a good one because people start out with email attachments and some poor person has to then merge the changes from 5, 10, 15 people.
Yep.
Then it progresses to maybe where you do the check-in, check-out process or using a file share, but you can only have one open handle against that file at a time. So yes, it's better. You've got one source of truth from a file perspective, but everybody's got to use that file at an individual time. Otherwise, they've got to merge again. Level 3 is where you've got something where you can co-author together at the same time, and then level 4, the products are enlightened, all the endpoints, all of those things are there. Now, once we've gone through a couple of these, and we'll show the process in a sec, it's going to give you a nice summary screen in terms of all the things that the levels that you've rated yourself at in terms of the various steps there. The future level that you can see with the dotted line. And then you can also see down below here the different recommendations that we have in terms of tools. So here, for example, in identity, it will say we have to configure Azure AD Connect, set up synchronization. We talk about the implementation effort and the user impact, as well as whether or not Fast Track helps with that resource, and a link to the Fast Track resources there as well.
Nice.
One other thing that we've done here that's really cool is the output file. So all the things that you go through with the tool is going to then generate an output that's going to give you a plan that's all printed out, that you can print out or that you can hand off to other folks in the organization or send digitally, obviously, that will give you all those steps that you've just gone through, the current levels, and all the recommendations in terms of the things that you'll want to use in terms of a project list or plans and what to deploy and what to start implementing.
Nice. So that's the output once you've gone through the assessment. But what's the assessment experience actually like for people?
Actually, I want to point out a couple of things really quick first that we've done. So another thing, a lot of times we're in IT, and I like to use acronyms and say things like SSO and VPN and all these. So we've done something in terms of translating every element of the service. So here I've selected the business manager view because I don't want to blow their heads off with IT terms and things, maybe different virtualization tech or some of those things. So we actually have it. VPN is probably the most technical term that we have in there, but we've actually translated everything out to where our staff are required to use a password, maybe a mobile phone, to remotely sign into our IT systems. Or as we get into more sophisticated features, our system can detect suspicious activities like excessive file downloads, so IT can take immediate action.
So it's translating those more technical features into more business language.
It's making it easier to kind of decipher what those things are. If you want to communicate this up as somebody in IT up into your business leadership or other stakeholders in the group. But one of the things I'm most excited about is actually the security manager view. So we actually took every single one of these IT kind of termed features, and then we took the security considerations around each one of those. So for example, if I have something like no single sign-on, what tends to happen is that users will start to manage and maintain multiple sets of credentials if they're using, say, 4 or 5 different disconnected cloud services. That means they're, a lot of times, unfortunately, they like to reuse their user principal name from our Azure AD or whatever AD I've got, and then reuse their password on-prem, at least for some period of time until they're forced to do a reset. But what happens then? If I'm on single-factor auth on-premise, and one of those 5 services gets compromised and they get those username and password credentials, they can go in and start attacking other services and see where that username and password are effective. And this happens all the time. So for any sentence that we have in here, any attribute that we have for IT, we also have all the security capabilities and the security considerations there, whether it's a positive upgrade to a previous state or something that you shouldn't be doing because there's a better way to be able to, say, manage credentials, or in this case, what the upsides are to using multi-factor authentication for end users in terms of eliminating risk and those types of things, all the way up to risk-based conditional access. So we've basically translated every term there, and you're going to be able to use this later as you go to the various teams in your organization to say, this is why we're doing these X products or projects.
That's great. So we learn a lot about the roles that are involved, and we also learn about the different levels and activities that we can do within those. So now we know what the assessment side is like. What's the experience like for people using the tool?
All right, so now I'm in a live demo here because I wanted to use the zooming so you guys could all see what was on the screen behind us. So here I'm in the kind of the picker list in terms of what I can select for the services I want. I can add things if I wanted to or remove them just by clicking on the different tiles. And then when I click get started, it's going to take me into this kind of 4-level view. And I can change the view to IT admin because that's where I'm most comfortable in terms of the different services there. If I switch to identity management, I can see this nice continuum that we just saw in terms of, actually we just saw access management that we just saw in terms of single sign-on, elevating to risk-based conditional access. Identity management, we have the same thing around managing identities. I can go into other services. What I wanted to show was something in collaboration, because we even have some of the user behavior things mapped out. So for example, if I go into the Teamwork tab, this is what I was mentioning earlier, where maybe you start out with email attachments.
Yep.
Somebody's got to merge all those changes together. Then it progresses into finally things like co-authoring that we've seen and we want to start using. Now once I've set my future level here, I can see all the things I need to do. Just to note that that's set all of my different tabs along that future level. So if I go into file sharing, I can see the different file sharing traits that I'm going to want to look at. If I want to change some of these values, maybe I don't want to have external sharing because maybe I'm a very locked down organization. I can opt out of that if I want to.
Right, or maybe you've got it already.
I might have it already. It doesn't need to be assessed. Sometimes we might have a capability that we've superseded because we've gone past a certain capability in the model. So one of the examples there is like if we go to PC deployment and we go from thick imaging and say provisioning, we're going to go out of thick imaging if we want to do that and go into something that's more like automated deployment. So then I can, if I want to, I can say our thick imaging process goes away. Our hardware supplier is not just giving us kind of a vanilla image of Windows. Now we've got various things that we can do in terms of projects again on this continuum. So now once I've gone through a few of these assessments and I've looked at kind of what I'm doing now, I've opted out of things I don't want to do, I've got a set of actions that I need to take, I can even go in and I can see what are some of the actual different projects that I need to take on in terms of this. This is a PC provisioning one in terms of all the different ways I can deploy Windows, for example. And I can do this, I can filter it if I want to and look at the various levels. I can look at things that have, for example, just the medium user impact and apply that filter. So I can just do the things maybe that are easier to do from an end user perspective and not as heavy-handed. I can do that across all the different stripes and capabilities I want.
Nice. So to stress for people that within each capability, there's these 4 levels. You don't have to go to the top level. That doesn't need to be your goal. You can level 2, level 3 could be your goal, and you give an honest assessment of yourself. But that's all as an IT admin, security, or a number of different roles within the platform.
Right, and those are all the options that you would have. So one other thing I wanted to point out too was in the cases where we have the ability to, for example, configure some of these options in the portal, we'll be able to actually provide links to the portal. And I don't know if because I've got everything on medium here, let me clear my filters. In cases where we can link you directly to the capabilities within the Office 365 portal, for example, we'll try to link you to those resources directly with action links. And I don't know if I've got any of the action links in any of the selections that I have here, but for like certain capabilities, I can go directly into Office 365 portal. We'll do that for you as well. And then when I'm ready, what I can do is actually run the assessment summary. And what that's going to do is going to take all the inputs that I have, what I've got in place, and it's going to go along that continuum of what can I deploy, what are the future levels that I've set, and I've only set just 2 of them here in this case. And we'll take the current level, which is the lowest common denominator, and set that as your overall level. And then we can enumerate all the different services and options here as well. And here we can see there's 48 total things to do. But now where it gets really powerful, and this is one of the cooler parts of the tool, is it's going to take all those inputs, and you could have selected all 9 of the services and gone crazy with it.
Yep.
But if I do that, it's going to automatically generate a document for me that's using all of those inputs. It's basically going to insert all of that information into the document format using the XML that we can manipulate here through the tool. And then it's going to create this in Word Online. I can download it. I can modify it. If I'm a partner, I can personalize it with my own logo. For the, if you're in a company, it's going to say who it's prepared for. If you're the partner running the tool, so all these things are available for you to change if you want to make some personalizations or put some timelines in, those types of things. Mm-hmm. It explains the model. It also gives a nice summary of the different services that we've opted into. So in this case, around identity, I didn't actually set a target, but for the collaboration services, I've got a target set. So it shows all the different things we're going to work on, the things that we're going to opt out of. And then when we get down into the actual plan for implementers, we can see a nice detailed view of all the different things, our current level, our future level that we want to get to, what the what the action plan translations are, what they mean. And I've got everything here in one view in terms of
all the capabilities there.
All the capabilities, mm-hmm. all the different things I might want to do from an action standpoint. If I want to go into the portal and actually make some of these configuration changes, some of these things are linked directly into Azure AD or Office 365. And even the fast track resources are mapped, and you can see there's even links to fast track right there to be able to get into it. So very powerful tool set in terms of being able to have this that you can give off to your other stakeholders in your company, and you can even look at it from a long-term planning perspective, because you can see it's a very extensive doc that we've got here in terms of the things that we're going to be doing. If I've selected 3 services and I've got a few steps to make, but it even gives me next steps. So you didn't pick all of the different services, so here we can see there are still some remaining services left.
Yep.
We can always go back to it later and then look at those additional services.
Now, is it a best practice to go level by level in that sequence? Is that what you recommend?
Generally, yes. There are some things, as I mentioned earlier, that you might supersede capabilities. So sometimes, and a lot of times we've tried to make it additive so you don't lose work along the way. But for things like provisioning, if you go from, say, thick imaging to full automation and task sequence-based deployment, and then to even different models like autopilot, there will be some supersedence that will happen in a few of the capabilities, and we'll start to call that out with some automation around those gray dots that we see here, but now you have the ability to opt out. But generally, yes, it's additive in terms of your jump from level to level.
Now, when we saw some of the scores before, particularly around security, it looks very similar to Secure Score, but what other areas can we assess?
Yeah, so Secure Score is a great scoring tool. So it's got more of kind of the credit score concept where the numbers are a bit higher. It goes into the several hundreds range. And we actually worked with Brandon Kohler and team that own the Secure Score to make sure that all of our recommendations and the user impacts and all of those types of things align to their recommendations as well. And we've then put that along this kind of 4-level continuum. Then we've added beyond security, as you saw, collaboration, desktop provisioning, planning, all the other parts of Microsoft 365. So again, you can kind of drill into the area important to you.
Nice. So we've covered quite a few services. Is there any more services you want to show us? Anything else you want to take a look at?
I think I've shown the 3 different services. I think one thing that might be interesting, but I won't show here actually, is the IT change management. So one thing that we hear consistently is it's very difficult to be able to stay on top of maybe all the changes that are there. So we do a lot of things, Message Center, we blog out, we do a lot of videos like we do on Microsoft Mechanics to make sure that people have their hands on the latest information as to what's coming. But change management also has a set of recommendations in terms of being able to do evolving kind of monthly or semi-annual type changes in the environment versus maybe your desktop deployments that you might do every 5 or 6 years in the past, how to stay on top of them and make sure that you can do something every 6 or 12 months now.
Nice. So extremely powerful tool, lots of cool stuff. But how do we get to the plan that we showed earlier?
So this is the plan here. So we basically get to it by showing that IT roadmap assessment and the thing that we just saw, and that's all we have to do.
Easily accessible.
Right, and I wanted to point out one other option. So we have a new way to get to the tool, which is basically by using aka.ms/IT roadmap tool. That will get you directly to an unauthenticated version. So anybody here can go through it, start poking around in the tool, start looking at it, and as you start to build out the plans, you can basically print them out. It's the unauthenticated version doesn't save your state, so you can go in and as often as you want and change things. But the authenticated version I'm showing here means that if, say, Fast Track is engaged with you, they can go back to the tool and reference it, and it's stored effectively and take notes and do those types of things like they can with the rest of the business value program tools that we're part of. So it gives you that ability to return back. But the stateless version is open, it's public, it's available again. We'll see the link towards the end of this presentation.
Cool. Now what I've noticed within the tool is it doesn't reference specific technologies. Is that intentional?
Yeah. So the reason why we don't reference specific technologies especially is, say I've invested in another MDM platform, but it's still capable of doing CSP policy configuration in Windows 10. Sometimes it's difficult to say, I just bought this thing, or I just bought this telephony, or this meeting system, et cetera, and I can't just move to a Microsoft-based one, as much as we would like that and have all the integration around the rest of the periphery around Microsoft 365. We want to make sure that you can still get credit for those other products, those other tools that you're using, which I think is totally legitimate. Desktop virtualization's one. I mean, there's a bunch of examples where, yes, it makes sense in a lot of cases to use another platform, but then maybe eventually consider some of the things that we can do at maybe the higher levels here.
Cool, excellent. So this looks incredibly useful. I think everyone will agree, but how can people try it for themselves?
Right, so it's released as of right now. Again, if you take a look at the link on the screen, IT Roadmap Tool, aka.ms/IT Roadmap Tool, that's the free unauthenticated version that you can get to now. You can start playing with it. You can start building sample plans. You can look through all the different services that I had showed earlier. And if you're a partner, you can start using the transform.microsoft.com page to go through what I'm showing here today, which has a few more capabilities, the different translations for Business Voice and Security Manager. But don't worry, the free version has that in the printout doc, so if you like that part of it, that's all there as well in the free version also.
Awesome. Well, Jeremy, thanks for joining us. And of course, you can keep up to date with the latest tech updates by sticking with Microsoft Mechanics. But thanks for joining us. Thank you.